Hello and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. We are still in our camp. We have to talk to our other companions, get to know them a little bit more, and see what they have to say. So let's do that. Have I finished talking to Alistair?
What do you need? Ask away.
No. So how did you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
I meant before that.
Let's see. I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
You don't seem like the religious sort, though.
You're telling me I was banished to the kitchens to scour the pots more times than I can count. And that's a lot. I can count pretty high. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
You think this is better than being a Templar?
Oh, I suppose the Chantry life is good enough for some. Here, we have the chance to fight against the Blight. To actually do some good instead of sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
He was a good man. We're actually not sure, so we're just, I'm sorry.
No, it's... I'm sorry. I shouldn't be. It's fine. He died a hero. They all did. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Okay, anything else?
What do you need? Ask away.
What can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
I see. Have you hunted many mages?
No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows.
Ah, I see.
I was only present during one harrowing. The ritual that they test the mages with. It's not unlike our joining, really. And...
Okay.
just as deadly. The girl
sounds lovely.
She had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to...
oh no.
end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that.
Sounds gruesome. So couldn't others learn the talents?
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
It's horrible. I can't believe they would do that.
Well, they do it, and they feel perfectly justified. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective, or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Lucky you, yeah.
What do you need? Ask away.
Can you teach others to be a Templar?
I suppose I could. But I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word.
Well, I respect your word.
Ask me later, perhaps. maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all.
Alright.
What do you need? Ask away.
So tell me about the Grey Wardens.
Such as they are.
Oh, so much. Where are the nearest Grey Wardens?
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands.
Is there a headquarters somewhere?
Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here, but I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
So what would happen now that there is just the two of us?
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens,
Great.
it's up to us.
Great, great, great.
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be two of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere.
Makes sense. What would happen if we just left?
Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away.
There
Such as
anything
they
else? Okay.
About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need?
He had a lot to share, but also lots of interesting stuff about his past and about how, I guess, how the Templars are raised and created, about the Circle a little bit. Let's talk to Morrigan. She has her little hut here with her beautiful hat.
Yes?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
Thank you. And you're cute when you're evasive.
Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no troubles with them?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them once.
I really like the
'Twas a
voice
warning
actress
they
for
inevitably
Morrigan. She does a
failed
great
to
job.
heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Did you actually kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
What exactly is an apostate?
You do not know? The zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates, and apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true, still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
I see. If I were a mage, I might think the same, yeah.
Thank you for small favors, then, at the very least. Enough of this
Just being
talk.
honest.
Let us return to the task at hand.
+3, nice.
Yes?
Let's ask
If
for
you
something
must.
else. We asked that before. Is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Powerful Maleficar?
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story?
Exactly.
Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
Didn't even know there was such a things. I've heard a little. I'm more interested in the truth. Well, I've heard of it a little. We read about it, so let's
No
be
doubt
honest.
such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
I've heard this part.
The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar.
Oh,
Lord Conabar
interesting.
approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to another man?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement.
Oh.
All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
She spoke to the spirits or demons?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which? She never invaded or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the Great War with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Interesting. Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale,
Makes
if
sense.
not all.
That might not be 100% accurate, but that her general version might be true. How is it that Flemeth has survived for so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Yeah. Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts.
Oh.
It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more
point.
things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
Interesting story, thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Okay. That was interesting, though, hearing Flemeth's side of the story.
Yes?
While before that we only read about the legends.
If you must.
Okay, never mind.
Yes?
So this is new. So life in the wilds must have been very lonely.
At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
And did they speak back?
Don't be foolish. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
I can't imagine Flemeth was pleased.
She was not. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground.
So maybe we
I
can
was
find a mirror
heartbroken.
for her, kind of as a memento. You were just a child.
And a foolish one. Flemeth was right to break me of my fascination. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning.
Very
Without those
cynic
lessons,
take
I would
on
not
life.
be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
Those are harsh lessons to teach a child.
Perhaps. but they were necessary still. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality.
Interesting.
Yes?
Anything else?
We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Kiss her. Do we need to discuss us?
Discuss away.
Nothing. I don't think we're anywhere close the kissing stage, right? Neutral for him, and here neutral +8. So let's try a silver bracelet, similar to a bauble, right?
A fine gift.
Okay, +5.
You have my thanks.
Not super effective. I remember that the effectiveness of the gifts depends on who you give it to and what you give them. Let's talk to Stan a little bit more.
Why are we stopping?
I think we should talk for a moment.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
Need to know if I can trust you at my back.
I am Kunari. I have given my word to aid you. We are not people of idle promises.
I've never seen a Kunari before. Tell me about your people.
No.
Okay. Why not?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
I mean, that's a fair point. You said you were in the army.
I am.
Have you fought in a war?
I have always fought in war, elf.
What do you mean by that?
My people have been at war since the moment we set foot in the Northern Islands.
So the Kunari don't come from the islands?
We do now.
Where did you come from before?
Somewhere else.
Okay. Can you be more specific?
No.
Okay.
I was born in Seheron. Of the land we came from, I know nothing, not even its name. I do not see how this matters. Seheron and Parvolan are distant. Ferelden and the Darkspawn are immediate.
Are you alright? You were in the cage for weeks, though.
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight.
Okay.
As you wish.
+2, though. We're bonding. That's nice.
You're a hard man to
Who
find.
are you?
Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins?
No.
Levy the trader?
Duncan never mentioned you.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
How did you know Duncan?
It's a bit of a tale, that is. But I'm the one who brought the Grey Wardens back to Ferelden. Well, I was one of the ones. There were a lot of us. Maker's breath, I'm a bit nervous. Honoured to be here, really.
Go ahead, tell your tale.
After King Marek freed us from the Orlesians, the Grey Wardens begged the King's permission to come into Ferelden, some sort of internal business. Me and a mess of other Warden sympathisers spoke on behalf of your order. Tan Loghain was very much against letting Orlesian Wardens in the kingdom. But Marek, Andraste, bless him, was a fair-minded monarch and he let them in.
Go on.
So that's why I was there when the Wardens and their leader, Genevieve, presented herself to the King. The first Wardens in Ferelden in over a century. Proudest state of my life, that was. Duncan was a bit of a scamp back then. We were of an age and struck up a friendship. The King himself went with the Wardens on their mysterious business. When he returned, he rescinded King Ardland's decree, and the Wardens came back to Ferelden for good.
Why were the Grey Wardens cast out by Ardland?
People say it's because the Wardens have become terribly unpopular, just soaking up ties and not doing a bleeding thing for the kingdom. I say that's bollocks, as recent events have shown.
Marek rescinded the decree just like that?
Marek was a bit of a visionary, a powerful mind, that one. In his travels with the Wardens, he must have seen
that was
how
Kaelin's
important their
father.
cause was, and been moved by it.
Thank you for your part.
Oh, his stomach's all aflutter. You're welcome.
What promise did Duncan make to you?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Ardland banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Okay. What happened next?
Hard to say. After King Ardland died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
I'm surprised you kept your name then.
Our family's only crime was guarding the kingdom against the Blight. We're not ashamed of that.
Okay, so what favor did you ask of Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honour.
Couldn't you just go there by yourself?
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Ireland's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honour.
Okay. So why didn't Duncan help you?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new Wardens and meeting with good King Kaelin. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
Okay. How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there.
Makes
He also
sense.
hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
So what do you need from me?
I can pick my way through the tunnels at the base of Soldier's Peak, but the place, well, they say it's haunted, and it'll be dangerous for certain. Will you think on it, at least?
Yeah, I will help you.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Okay. History of the Drydens. Sophia Dryden. Let's have a look at that. Oh, there. Already up. In the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak, all those who carried the Dryden name were hunted by King Arland's forces. Our noble Dryden name was smeared, and all lands and holdings belonging to the Drydens were seized by the crown. The king feared that the rebellion started by Sophia would be kept alive by her royal friends and family, and anyone with connection to the Drydens suffered greatly. It is little wonder then that the new remaining Drydens found themselves with no allies and nowhere to turn. Tobin Dryden, Sophia's brother and guardian of her young son, had no choice but to flee Ferelden. Tobin bought passage to Antiva on a merchant vessel and traveled under the name de Rocher or de Rocher. Once in Antiva, Tobin set about building a new quiet life for himself and his nephew. He started a small business and eventually made a name for himself as a trader. The Rocher merchant family prospered, and the name Dryden was almost forgotten. However, in 815 Blessed, Sylvie de Rocher uncovered old documents belonging to Tobin and pieced together the family's history. In her pride, and perhaps in her naivete, Sylvie reclaimed the name Dryden and returned to Ferelden. King Arland lies dead, and the Dryden name lives on. Our family has survived, even thrived, since the death of Sophia Dryden. The nobles of Ferelden may still spit on the Dryden name, but we Drydens know that Sophia Dryden was greater than them, almost a queen and a hero to the people of Ferelden. And there. Sophia Dryden is Ferelden's light and her most brilliant jewel. Nothing on this earth can ever quench her fire. Alessa Sophia Dryden was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Dryden was a strong and charismatic leader with much support from the Banner. When Arland finally won the crown, Dryden refused to relent. She pushed her claim, was caught and accused of treason. Her sympathizers continued to support her, however. In order to appease them, Dryden was spared execution and forced to join the Grey Wardens instead. Dryden survived the joining and dazzled the Grey Wardens at Soldier's Peak with leadership skills and charm. She eventually rose through the ranks to become the Warden Commander of Ferelden. Before Commander Dryden, the Grey Wardens were seen as a relic of an old time and unnecessary drain on the nobles' coffers. Dryden, though, with her political connection, reinvigorated the Wardens and rapidly increased their numbers. In the meantime, King Arland proved himself a devious king, willing to go to brutal lengths to silence his opponents. Arland's reign of terror grew worse with each passing year, and some of the bands approached Commander Dryden in desperation, begging her to intercede. She agreed, and thus was the rebellion against King Arland born. Arland learned of the rebellion and took steps to end it. He publicly suspended all tithing to the Grey Wardens and declared that they were no longer welcome in Ferelden. Some of the Wardens, mindful that they were supposed to remain politically neutral, felt disgraced by Dryden's involvement in Ferelden politics and left her side even as the king's forces lay siege to Soldier's Peak. The siege took months and ended with the death of Sophia Dryden. Interesting. And then we have Sandal and Bodan again. But we will talk to them and continue with the story next time. Just catching up with all the characters, but I think it is important to learn. For example, the story that Flemeth told Morrigan, and we have a new quest now. We learned very little about Stan, but for me, this is always a big part of the game to really get familiar with the characters and get to know a little bit more about them. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well. That helps me out a bunch and will bring you more content in the future. I will be back with more Dragon Age Origins tomorrow. Until then, have a great time.